Hi, everyone. It's South Orange Mayor Sheena Collum, and I want to wish all of you a happy Black History Month. It is my honor to be reading today's book selection entitled Up Periscope: How Engineer Raye Montague Revolutionized Shipbuilding, written by Jennifer Swanson and illustrated by Veronica Miller Jamison. Up Periscope: How Engineer Raye Montague Revolutionized Shipbuilding, written by Jennifer Swanson, illustrated by Veronica Miller Jamison. 7-year-old Raye Montague's mother had always told her 3 things. 1, she could learn anything. 2, she could do anything. 3, she could be anything. But growing up in Little Rock, Arkansas in the 1940s, life seemed slightly out of focus. The country was at war, food and money were scarce. One day in 1943, Raye's grandfather said he wanted to show her something special: a World War II submarine. As Raye climbed down the sub's ladder, she felt curiosity bubble up inside her. It was like stepping into a strange new world. She put her eye to the periscope. The faraway ships in the harbor suddenly seemed close enough to touch. At that moment, her entire life popped into focus, and Raye knew what she wanted to do. She would build ships, battleships, aircraft carriers, submarines. Raye asked the naval officer how she could build a submarine like this one. He told her that engineers designed submarines, but she wouldn't have to worry about doing that. Raye was confused. Her grandfather explained that girls didn't become engineers, especially not black girls. But Raye knew she could learn anything, do anything, and be anything she wanted. She had a plan. In high school, Raye tried to take shop, the class where you learn to build things. She was told girls couldn't participate, so Raye's mother convinced the principal to let Raye in. Raye's next stop was college. At the time, the engineering department at the University of Arkansas would not allow black students into their program. So Raye went to business school to learn about computers, still hoping that she would find a way to work as an engineer. And she did. Almost. When Raye graduated, she was hired by the U.S. Navy, not as an engineer herself, but as a typist, working for the male engineers. Still, Raye was in the right place, and while she waited for her opportunity, she asked questions, took notes, and learned everything she could. Every day, Raye sat next to the UNIVAC computer, which she wasn't allowed to touch. Only the men trained to run it could do that. But Raye had a plan. At night, she took computer programming classes to learn how to work the UNIVAC. One day, all the men who ran the computer were too sick to come to work. Raye jumped up and took over. Although she'd never touched the machine before, she knew which buttons to push, which levers to flip, and which instructions to type to get the UNIVAC to solve calculations. Her supervisor was stunned. But Raye did so well that she was eventually promoted to a full-time operator. It took about 14 more years, but because of her skill, the UNIVAC system, Raye was finally able to transfer to the Naval Ship Engineering Center. She was going to design ships. At the time, ships were designed by hand. It took thousands of hours of work, usually more than 2 years, by a team of many people to perform all the calculations. The men in Raye's office didn't like having a woman working with them, especially not a black woman. They gave her an impossible task: to create a single computer program that could calculate every part of a ship's design. This had never been done before, and she only had 6 months to do it. Raye accepted the challenge. She had heard about a team in New York that was using computers for ship design. When she arrived, Raye learned from the team that each computer program did only one part of the whole shipbuilding process, and people still had to perform many hours of calculations. No one had any idea how to create a program that could complete all the design steps at once. But Raye had a plan. Back at her office, Raye took an old UNIVAC computer completely apart. Over the span of many months, she planned to reprogram each component, then reassemble the computer. At first, her supervisor would not pay any other employees to help her, and she was not allowed to keep working by herself late at nights. So Raye brought her mother and 3-year-old son, David, into the office with her. She taught David how to punch the cards that were needed to create her program. Eventually, it began to look like Raye's program would succeed, so her supervisor added a few members to her team. This allowed Raye to meet her deadline, and just in time. A special request had come in from President Nixon to see the design of a brand new Navy ship. Would her program work? She spent over 2 days without rest inputting information into the computer. Finally, an exhausted Raye set her new program in motion, watched it for a few hours, and then headed home. A short time later, she was woken up by a phone call. Her program worked! In just 18 hours and 26 minutes, Raye's new program built the first ever comprehensive ship design. No one thought a woman could do it. No one thought a black woman could do it. But Raye Montague became the first person to do it. Raye went on to help design some of the largest and most important ships in the Navy. On her last assignment, she finally helped design a Navy submarine. She had always known she could learn anything, do anything, and be anything. And now, she could truly call herself Raye Montague, engineer.